Well, Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. So stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is easy. Just call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. Let them fix your website today.
Awesome. How cool was that interview?
That was a great one.
I really liked it. This is a good show. You ever just get halfway through a show?
And then you think, God, we need 4 more hours.
And this is like, wow, this is a good show. I mean, half these shows.
We'll have to thank the producer.
I'm just like, oh my God, I'm holding my nose. They're horrible.
I know. Did you know this is episode 340?
I didn't know that. So what? How many years have we been on the air now then? 340 divided by 52 is...
Go ahead.
Like
You're the banker.
It's like 604 years we've been.
I'm an English.
Something like that.
6.5.
There you go. 6.5 years.
Smarty pants.
All right. Our next guest is with Franklin Armory, which is a fantastic gun manufacturer. His name's Dan, and we're going to talk to him a little bit. I think we're going to talk a little bit about SB2. We're going to talk a lot about Franklin Armory, and then, of course, we're going to talk about California's ridiculous roster. So, Dan, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, guys.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Oh, I am fantastic. It's a great Sunday, and thank you for having me on. How are you?
Couldn't be better. So talk a little bit about Franklin Armory. Tell us about who are you guys and what do you do best?
Oh, boy. What do we do best? Well, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? According to a lot of Californians, we like to help ensure they are able to as freely and fully exercise their Second Amendment rights as possible. You can talk about some of the new products and stuff that we have recently rolled out, so that we can always serve our California brothers and sisters. But as an organization, I think it really falls down to safeguarding the God-given right that every human being has to protect self and property. That's what Franklin Armory's enduring mission is, and it's straightforward. I mean, you have organizations like, Second Amendment Foundation and CRPA, California Rifle Pistol Association, newer ones like FRAC, the Firearms Regulatory Accountability Coalition, which we're a member of, that are all doing the same thing from the legal side. We do it from the innovative manufacturing of firearms, parts, and accessories.
What's an example of some of those innovative parts and accessories that help support California? Because you guys really do a great job, and I can't tell you how much folks in California appreciate that. A lot of manufacturers, I don't want to say a lot of, it just feels like we get ignored sometimes, and that we're an afterthought, or that people take their frustration out on the end users, us, and you guys, I would say, are right up there with going above and beyond trying to service California. So can you talk a little bit about some of those products and some of the things you do for California?
Sure. I'd be happy to. And first of all, I appreciate you saying that. It reminiscent of the most recent SHOT Show, where we had tons of folks from California coming up to us saying the same thing, which is, in response to our most recent California product, the CA320, which we can talk about here in a bit. But a little bit of background, Franklin Armory was founded in California, Morgan Hill to be precise. And our founding partners, Jay and Karen, husband and wife team, avid hunters and great business people who believe in free enterprise and the role the private sector plays in ensuring that the American dream continues on. When things were happening in the California front back in about 2010, with the regulations against what has become known as the assault weapon, it's the most versatile platform ever created. And our founders were like, no, you were not going to make this, illegal. You were not going to prevent us at the time, California residents, from, exercising our rights. And so Franklin Armory became launched back in 2010 as one of the very first California compliant AR manufacturers. We were both a manufacturer and a distributor. And then fast forward, we can get into some of that history later. But today, we're still putting out products, even though the company, is unfortunate. We started the migration over the beautiful Sierra Nevada mountains to a small town called Minden, Nevada, back in about 2018, 2019, manufacturing first because California is cracking down on manufacturers. We didn't want to be, left, behind enemy lines, if you want to say, if that were to happen. And but eventually the environment just became so hostile that the rest of the operations had to move over to Minden as well. But we've never forgot our California brothers and sisters. Back in I want to believe it was 2018, we were able to get the very first AR pistol listed on the California Handgun roster, and that was
how did you do that? Because that's very impressive. How did that can you tell that story a little bit? Like why you guys and no one else?
For sure. Well, the how is interesting, and I can actually roll that into a conversation about the more recent one,
yep.
CA320. So the how goes about, and again, we'll get to the why here in a second, right? The how is pretty straightforward. California Department of Justice has its litany of requirements. So we abide by them directly, straight by the book. Between our founders and our engineers and our attorneys, we look at the laws, we understand them, we understand what is prohibited, but we design products to meet specific specifications. And so in the case of the CA7, it was a AR-style pistol. However, not to be a semi-automatic pistol, it was able to be put on the roster from a safety perspective from being a single shot. So, each fire requires another racking. However, that is able to get the AR platform without restrictions to California residents. So you fast forward to the CA320. In this case, it's very interesting.
Actually,
the process,
I want to get into the 320. I want to talk about it thoroughly,
sure,
but let's back up because we still have okay. So your AR pistol has no.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about it like someone's never seen it or heard of it or anything. Like feed it to them like they're 5 years old. It's got no stock, right? It's just got the tube in the back.
Correct.
And then how long is the barrel?
So we actually have 3 models of our California compliance. So we were not only the first pistol listed on the roster, which is the CA7. So that's a 7.5-inch barrel, and it's chambered in 5.56. But we also, a few years, I think it was just actually 1 year later, were able to get the CA11 and CA12 listed on the roster as well. Same concept. It's an AR pistol. It's a shorter barrel. The CA7 is a 7.5. The CA11, I believe, is 11.5. But that's chambered in 300 blackout. And then the CA12 is a 12. Is it 12.5? I think it's a 12-inch barrel. That is chambered in 350 Legend.
And it's single.
It's
single shot 350 Legend. That's an interesting caliber. Okay, so it's single shot, which means pull the trigger and then you have to charge the handle. Then pull the trigger and charge the handle. Correct.
Correct. And the reason for that being is, again, California's onerous regulations. Right.
No.
If
totally
you're going to get it. Yeah, if you're going to get a new pistol listed on the roster, and this is really key, not to get the other 3 kicked off, which has been more recently. Again, this goes into the process with the CA320. I don't believe the legislation had been written back for the CA7, 11, and 12. But as a single shot, it does not remove the 3 semi-automatic firearms from the roster. And so, again, that approach was able to get these firearms past the the testing requirements, the drop test, firing, etc. But because it was not a semi-automatic, it does not have to have the
micro
chamber indicator, the micro stamping, which is ludicrous, right? So yes, it didn't have to have any of that stuff, and it was still able to get the firearm.
And it has it uses detachable. It's got a detachable magazine, right? Like regular AR mags.
Correct. Yes, it can be because it's not a semi-automatic.
And no fin.
And no fin. So no fin, single shot, no stock. 7, 10, or 12, yeah, I think I got that right. Barrel, 3 different calibers.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And there's no microstamp requirement. None of that. So that's really, really fantastic. That's an awesome thing. And it's totally California legal, on sale now, right, at FFLs. You guys are selling those right now at shops in California. No.
Correct.
No assault weapon ban limitations because it doesn't it's not an assault weapon. It doesn't fit the definition of assault weapon. You don't have to get the microstamp because it doesn't fit the definition of the type of semi-automatic pistol that requires a microstamp. So you guys have complied with all the laws in order to make it to where someone can have an AR pistol in California, and I think that's fantastic. And that has led to the CA320. Now talk about the CA320.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably about 2 years in the making, right, was a design that looked at one of the more popular, platforms and handguns, the Sig P320, which of course California Department of Justice would not put it on its roster for a number of different reasons, but that they're working out between themselves. However, again, we looked at the ability to follow California laws strictly by the book and make sure that we could produce a 320, right, style gun that could pass all of the strict California requirements, including, again, drop testing, firing, reliability, et cetera. And that basically became the CA320, which is real simply described 3 parts. A factory SIG 320 slide, a factory SIG 320 fire control unit. That's the serialized part, right? So these are bought, purchased, virgin directly from SIG. And then the third part, the catch, right? That's what allows it to be listed on the California roster, which is a proprietary grip module designed by Franklin Armory that then makes that particular handgun, again, a single shot, 9mm, 320, that can now be legally sold through every retailer in the state of California.
Is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's 100 pounds bigger than her?
Nope.
Right. That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's totally free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and the Inland Empire. Get help today at notmesd.org.
So we just found out off air that Alicia here is extremely excited about the California 320.
Super. Yeah, about 2 months ago, I saw a little
Blurb.
a little release, a little teaser that Franklin Armory was releasing this, and so I couldn't wait. And then, waiting for it.
Hey, Franklin Armory, give her the gun. Let her shoot the hell out of it. Come back.
I think,
and we'll give you a great
arrange
review. Is it in the mail?
I was going to say, I think we can arrange a test and evaluation model for sure.
Well,
Alicia would be great. She's an instructor in town. She'd be fantastic for that. Actually, I didn't realize how excited she was, but she's very excited about it.
And she's a world-class gardener.
She's a world-class
So
gardener.
don't be slacking.
That's awesome,
Well,
man.
I'll tell you what, I'd be happy to do that. Not only, again, like I said, with Franklin Armory being originally founded in California, but I too, really, I grew up hunting in Nevada, but I spent a lot of years in the Bay Area and San Diego. And actually, my first handgun ever purchased was from the Shootist in Murrieta, in your Inland Empire area. Yeah. So, I love what you guys are doing down there. I actually went through training at at Iron Sights in Oceanside.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So to be able to put one of these in your guys' hand to test and evaluate, it would be my honor.
There you go.
Well, we're happy to do it. As far as I know, we're the only gun show in Southern California that's on AM, FM, and podcast. So we have a few people listening. So
Yeah, we'll make
happy to help.
Yeah, we'll get the word out.
Yeah, we'll have our people get in touch with your people.
So what made you pick this particular model? What about it made you guys do this one?
You talking about for the CA320?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, it's obviously we are a business. So we are in the business of satisfying market demand. And the P320 is a very popular firearm.
Yeah.
It is so sad and unfortunate that the largest state population-wise in the nation is prohibited from having a very viable and quality firearm. And so again, going back to our roots and understanding that safeguarding that very natural and God-given right to protect self and property, we were going to do what we could to provide Californians with that ability.
So people that aren't familiar with the 320, what size is it? Is it a compact? Is it a subcompact? Like, is it good for carry? Is it better for home? Or how would you describe its main purpose and comparable size?
Well, actually, my understanding is it comes in 3 sizes. There's a full size, and I don't off the top of my head, so forgive me if there's SIG enthusiasts out there who are going to yell at the screen or the radio if I get these numbers wrong. So it's probably better not even say a number. There's a full size, there's a carry, and there's a compact. Same concept. This is very popular with SIG on the 320, which is the civilian version of the M17 and 18.
Yep.
Which have been requisitioned by, I believe all branches of the U.S. military.
I believe right.
And so, yeah, and the 320 along with the 365 are a new approach to firearm manufacturing from SIG that looks that takes the modular approach, right? And as such, and again, this would be a question for SIG, but my understanding is that between engineering and legal, there was the outcome of the fire control unit, right, which is kind of the second piece to our creation, is the serialized part now. And that fire control unit and a slide and a grip module comprise the entire gun. And so it's a very attractive model to, people, and I mean that term, accurately, the people, right? We, the people. It's a very attractive proposition for anyone looking for a firearm to defend self, to defend home, to defend property. It's people like shooting it, and so we hope that more Californians get an opportunity to do so.
Fantastic. So I have a question for you. Being that you were rooted in California at one point, what is your take and your interpretation on just the sham that is the California roster? Tell me a little bit what you think of that.
Well, I mean, I think you already, nailed or hammered the nail on the head by calling it a sham, right? So without getting on my soapbox, I mean, there's challenges. We're waiting to see what happens with it. I mean, there is a train of thought that we may not have a roster in a couple of years. We would love to see that.
That's the goal.
Or there could be a different version of it. It's kind of like after Bruin, right? Didn't stop New York or Jersey or anybody else really from trying to then throw more laws at an unconstitutional approach. But, there's a saying, and it's kind of like I can do my best Forrest Gump impersonation, stupid tyranny is as stupid tyranny does, right? That's just what they're going to do. So the best we can do is, again, to stand up for the people and ensure that no matter what tyrannical efforts are thrown at us, that we, and again, it's no accident that our business, our company, is named after one of the most foremost world-renowned inventors of his time, as well as a very well-respected and venerable statesman, right? Benjamin Franklin. We have a number of his famous quotes that kind of help to drive our ethos, if you will, as a brand, as well as some of our strategy. And it really comes down to, we will not tire, right? If that's what we have to be faced with, we will not tire. One of my favorites, the company itself, not speaking for Jay, but sometimes I get to. That's our founder. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. is a pretty popular one that a lot of people attribute to different things, but, it's very much applied here, right? Especially when it comes to, nationwide, global, universal, if you will, discussions about firearms and their role in the Second Amendment. But one of my favorites is actually a little bit lesser known. It's rebellion against tyrants is obedience to God.
There you go.
And depending on your belief in, the afterworld, spirituality, what have you, I guess it doesn't really matter. But in my opinion, that is what we as human beings should be doing anytime there's tyranny. We must stand up. We must stand up for what's right. And to know that our fight is just and good keeps us going along. And in the case of Franklin Armory, again, taking not just the innovative approach from Benjamin Franklin, our namesake, but the statesman approach. I really, one of the reasons why I really, actually a longer story, but worked very hard to try to find my way over to Franklin Armory after spending a little time in the firearms industry, amongst others, is because the approach. It's much different. There's a lot of companies out there that will develop a product, run with it for the longest time until they get a phone call or a knock on the door, right? And they say, well, you can't do that. And then they're, caught between a rock and a hard place. Franklin Armory takes a different approach, just like with the CA320. We did our homework. We dotted our I's and crossed our T's, and we submitted to the state a firearm we knew was legal. We knew abided by the regulations, and we got it approved within the time frame because, just like any other regulatory industry, or agency, whether it be California DOJ or the ATF, they'll always try to push the limits on it. But we can push back and say, time's up. We know it's within the regulations. Give us the letter. Let us know that we can move forward and market this, right? Because otherwise, what type of free economy do we have? And so that, as an organization, oh man, it feels so good to work for a company like this.
Well, I'd like to thank you as a California. Thank you for the job that you guys are doing. And you alluded to at some point having that California roster disappear, which is, of course, ultimately what we all want. But I'm curious, if and when that does happen, what would that look like for your company? How would your focus shift? What would your new movement be?
Well, the roster is just one, right? I mean, again, we're looking at history right now, and without going down this rabbit hole, but gosh, I'm sure you could as well. The three of you talk about this to no end. The concept of limiting Second Amendment rights is relatively new, and it just was not an issue before. The concept of why we have a Second Amendment was always very clear. And now we're looking at a different environment. And I don't think just the roster going away is going to change that. That's one fight, right? That's one thing that we can hopefully have. If you're familiar with, Franklin Armory's binary trigger system.
Correct.
Binary firing system, yeah. So there's a lot of other fronts to continue to expand on that. I mean, right now, Californians are not able to purchase that product. We'd like to see that changed, of course.
What is
developing?
Talk about what the binary system. Talk about what it is and why we can't purchase it in California for those who don't know.
For sure. So, without getting into the rules of why you can't, I mean, it's just because almighty state of California says you can't, right? But in the vast majority of other states, I think all but 10 or 11, possibly 12, including the District of Columbia, binary trigger system, binary firing system, actually, known better as, again, binary triggers. Probably heard that terminology. So it's creation, Franklin Armory, that looked at, again, the definition of a semi-automatic trigger. One fire based upon one mechanism, right? So one pull, bang. You release, it resets for another pull, bang. That's the definition of a semi-automatic trigger. What we looked at was, if that's the definition of an action, right, of a mechanism, then if you were releasing the trigger, that's another mechanism.
True. And
that provides another opportunity for a fire. And so one pull, bang, one release, bang. It's still classified by the ATF as a semi-automatic trigger. It falls right in with all the regulations, with all the laws. We even have a letter from the ATF classifying as a semi-automatic trigger. And so it is a innovative, brand new class of triggers. And we're also creating entire new classes of firearms themselves, which we can get into in a little bit, which really redefine how actions work. And creating a new action takes a lot of innovation.
Awesome job.
We got to get you back, or you got to get a radio show, one of the two. We're not 100% sure. We do want to get you back. You have some really great news and some great product. How do people get a hold of you?
FranklinArmory.com for all our information, but of course, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Okay.
Got a lot of great information there as well.
Cool. We look forward to having the kid over here shoot your gun, which should be exciting.
Very cool. Yeah, your people, as you said, get
my
with
people
me.
get in touch with your people.
It's just me.
That's what I said. We'll get in touch with you.
And we'll be happy to make that happen for sure.
Buddy.
Thank you so much for the time.
Look forward to the review.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.